Picture this. You've worked hard, dedicated time and energy, and finally, the finish line is in sight. That goal you've dreamed of, a promotion, the launch of a project, a deeper relationship, a significant personal achievement, is just one step away from becoming a reality. You're almost there. But suddenly something happens. Your legs feel heavy. A fog seems to cloud your vision. Your heart races, not with excitement, but with a strange anxiety. And a voice, deep within your mind, starts whispering, "Stop. Give up. Don't go any further." You find excuses. You procrastinate. Suddenly, success seems more frightening than failure. If you've ever felt this inexplicable hesitation, this self-sabotage on the brink of victory, then you know firsthand what the fear of success is. And I want you to know, you are not alone. I lived with this for years. I watched opportunities slip through my fingers simply because I couldn't take that final step. I wondered why I, who so desperately wanted success, would sabotage myself just when it was within reach. It was confusing, frustrating, and deeply painful. I realized it wasn't just the fear of failure, but the fear of success. The fear of the changes success would bring. The fear of being judged. The fear of not being able to sustain the achievement. The fear that perhaps I wasn't worthy of it. These fears nestle in the subconscious, creating invisible but incredibly strong barriers. But the good news is that these barriers can be dissolved. There is a path to freedom, one that I found by delving into ancient wisdom and modern science. At the heart of this journey is an incredibly simple and profound method inspired by Zen philosophy. Zen teaches us the powerful art of presence and detachment, master keys to untying the knots of fear. Over time, I realized that this Zen essence is strengthened and complemented by the focused resilience of Stoicism, the liberating compassion of Buddhism, the natural fluidity of Taoism, and the practical optimistic tools of positive psychology. This combination is not just theory. It is a practical map for navigating the turbulent waters of fear and finding the serenity and strength to embrace success. Have you ever been one step away from achieving something you've always wanted, but for some mysterious reason you froze? If you've ever felt this, that invisible lock at the moment of turning, then this video might be a turning point for you. And I'll tell you why it's worth staying until the end. Because at the end I'll show you a simple, quick, and deeply effective technique based on Zen and neuroscience that can completely change the way you deal with fear and self-sabotage. And more. You'll discover which ancient wisdom resonates most with your current moment in life, and how it can become a practical compass for you to finally embrace the success you so desire without fear. So, if you're tired of freezing at the most important moment, take a deep breath, because you're about to understand why this happens, and, more importantly, how to change this story. In this video, I'll guide you through this path. Together, we'll understand the roots of this fear, explore the Zen method, and how it integrates with these other philosophies to create a powerful and applicable approach to your life today. I'll share stories that will resonate with your own journey, present concepts in a simple and didactic way, and propose practical exercises that you can use immediately to start dissolving fear and building a solid foundation of confidence and inner peace. My intention is that by the end you not only understand the fear of success, but also have the tools to face it, transform it, and finally feel free to pursue and live the success you truly desire and deserve. To start warming up, I want to invite you to a first reflection. What is the greatest success you feel you are avoiding or sabotaging right now? What dream or goal is stalled because of this fear? Share in the comments below. By naming the fear, you already begin to take away its power. Now take a deep breath. Release the tension from your shoulders and prepare to embark on this transformative journey. Okay, now that you've thought about that success you might be avoiding, about that achievement that seems too scary to embrace, take another deep breath. Feel this sensation. It's real, but it doesn't have to define you. The good news is that this struggle against fear, this search for inner freedom, is not something you have to face alone, reinventing the wheel. Humanity has been seeking to understand and overcome suffering, insecurity, and fear for millennia. and many traditions of wisdom, ancient and modern, offer us a map, a set of time-tested tools. The Zen method we will explore in depth is incredibly powerful on its own, with its emphasis on presence and detachment, but it shines even brighter, gains depth and applicability when we see it in the light of other profound philosophies and the science that studies human well-being. It's like having several lanterns illuminating the same path, revealing different aspects of the same fundamental truth. Let's take a quick look at how some of these lenses of wisdom fit perfectly into our journey to overcome the fear of success. Think of the Stoics, those Greek and Roman philosophers who taught us the art of resilience and serenity in the face of life's adversities. They had a very simple but revolutionary central idea: focus only on what you can control. The wise Stoic knows that they cannot control the storm at sea, but they can control how they row their boat. The fear of success often binds us to what we cannot control: what others will think, whether the success will last forever, whether we will be criticized. Stoicism invites us to direct our energy towards our preparation, our effort, our attitude, our response to challenges, things that are entirely ours. By doing this, the fear of the external outcome, which is beyond our control, loses its power over us. Now let's look at Buddhism, a philosophy that teaches us about the nature of suffering and the freedom that comes from detachment. Buddhism shows us that much of our pain and anxiety comes from attachment to fixed ideas about ourselves, attachment to specific outcomes, attachment to the comfort of our safe zone. The fear of success is at its core an attachment to the person you are now, and the fear of losing that identity by changing. Attachment to the idea that success will bring permanent happiness, and the fear that it won't, or that you will lose it. It's like trying to hold water or sand in your hand. The tighter you squeeze, the more it slips away. Buddhism teaches us to let go, to accept the impermanence of everything, including success and failure, and to practice self-compassion, being kind to ourselves, especially when things don't go as planned. On the other side of the world, Taoism invites us to dance with life, to flow with the Tao, the natural way of things. The central idea here is Wu Wei, which does not mean doing nothing but acting without forced effort in harmony with the natural flow of the universe. The fear of success often makes us struggle, resist, try to rigidly control an uncertain future. It's like trying to swim against a strong current, exhausting our energies. The Taoist would tell us, don't fight the river, navigate with it. Accepting uncertainty, adapting, trusting the process, and acting at the right time. This dissolves the rigidity of fear and allows us to find a strength that comes from life itself. And modern science? Positive psychology brings us research-based tools to build a life worth living, focusing on what strengthens and makes us thrive. Instead of just treating what is wrong, it studies what makes us flourish: our character strengths, our resilience, our realistic optimism, our ability to find purpose. It helps us identify and use our internal resources to face fear, to see failures not as catastrophes, but as learning steps, and to build genuine self-confidence based on our abilities and achievements. It's like focusing on sunlight to dissipate the shadows, rather than just analyzing the darkness. This integration of ancient wisdom and modern science gives us an incredibly powerful toolbox, and the Zen method, with its emphasis on full presence and detachment, acts as the anchor that allows us to apply these teachings in the heat of the moment when fear arises. Being present allows us to see fear without drowning in it. Detachment allows us to let go of expectations and fears that other philosophies help us identify as uncontrollable, impermanent, or illusory. Thinking about these approaches, Stoicism, Buddhism, Taoism, positive psychology, which one resonates most with you at this moment in your journey? Which idea seems most useful to start dissolving your fear of success? Share with me in the comments. Your reflection may inspire others as well. Now that we understand the foundations of wisdom that support us, we are ready to dive into the heart of the Zen method and see how, in practice, it frees us from the fear of success. Now that we've seen how different wisdoms point to the importance of understanding our mind and our reactions, It's time to look directly at the fear that brought us here, the fear of success. What is it really? And why can something that seems so desirable actually paralyze us? The fear of success is not simply the absence of desire for achievement. In fact, often the people who suffer most from it are those with great potential, with genuine dreams and ambitions. The issue is not a lack of will, but the presence of internal barriers that arise just as success approaches. Think of it as an iceberg. The visible tip is procrastination, self-sabotage, hesitation. But the largest part, the submerged and most dangerous part, are the unconscious fears. Carl Jung, the great psychiatrist and psychoanalyst, taught us much about the power of the unconscious. He showed that our shadows, our deepest fears and insecurities, are often not on the surface of our consciousness. The fear of success feeds on these shadows. It could be the fear of being rejected by those left behind, the fear of not being loved if you change, the fear that success will reveal that you are not as capable as they thought, the fear of losing your current identity, or even the fear that success will bring more problems and responsibilities than you can handle. They are old voices, perhaps from past experiences or internalized limiting beliefs, that whisper, "You're not good enough. You don't deserve this. Things will go wrong." From a Buddhist point of view, we can see the fear of success as an attachment to our current comfort zone, however uncomfortable it may sometimes be. It is the attachment to the known, even if the known is limiting, and the fear of the unknown that success represents. Letting go of what is familiar, even if it is a place of stagnation, can be terrifying for the mind that clings to stability, even if it is illusory. Buddhism reminds us that change is the only constant. The fear of success fights against this fundamental truth. And positive psychology corroborates this, showing that these fears are not just abstract ideas. They are real psychological barriers. They activate our fight or flight system, keeping us in a state of alert that drains our energy and prevents us from acting. These patterns of thought and behavior are learned, often in childhood or adolescence, and solidify over time, becoming part of our internal programming. They prevent us from accessing our strengths, building resilience, and experiencing the growth and well-being that come from pursuing and achieving our goals. Let me tell you a story. Think of someone like Maria. Maria was a talented professional, always dedicated and with brilliant ideas. She loved her work, but felt she was ready for more. One day, an opportunity arose to compete for a leadership position in her team. It was exactly the kind of challenge she said she wanted. Initially, she was excited. But as the process advanced, anxiety began to grow. She started to doubt herself. Am I really capable? What if I fail and everyone sees that I'm not good? My life will change a lot. I'll have less time for myself. My colleagues will see me differently. She began to find excuses not to prepare adequately for the interviews. Suddenly, the extra work seemed unbearable, the responsibilities overwhelming. Deep down, the fear of not being enough, the fear of change, and the fear of judgment were much stronger than the desire for the promotion. In the end, Maria decided not to apply, convincing herself that it wasn't the right time. She felt immediate relief for avoiding the pressure, but soon after, deep regret and the feeling of having betrayed herself. The fear of success paralyzed her. This story of Maria, or variations of it, is incredibly common. It is the practical manifestation of these unconscious fears and attachments that prevent us from taking the next step. As the renowned physicist Stephen Hawking once said in a different context, but which applies perfectly here, "The greatest enemy of knowledge is not ignorance, it is the illusion of knowledge." Adapting this to our theme, we can say that the greatest enemy of our potential is not the lack of ability, but the illusion that we know the terrible consequences of success, or the illusion that our fears are absolute and insurmountable truths. This illusion keeps us trapped. Now, let's bring this into your life. I invite you to a simple but powerful exercise. Take a notebook or open a document on your computer. Think again about that success you identified at the beginning, the one you feel you are avoiding. Write it at the top of the page. Now take a deep breath. Close your eyes for a moment if you feel comfortable, and ask yourself, with total honesty, what do I really fear will happen if I achieve this? Go beyond the first obvious answer. If the fear is fear of failure, ask yourself, and what would happen if I failed? What would that mean about me? What would others think? If the fear is fear of being judged, ask yourself, who would judge me? What would they say? Why does their opinion scare me so much? If the fear is fear of change, ask yourself, what exactly would change? What do I fear losing? Take 2 minutes now in silence just to write or think deeply about the answers to these questions. Let the thoughts come without judgment. What is in the submerged iceberg? What did you discover? What fears came to the surface? Fear of being judged? Fear of not being good enough? Fear of losing something? Fear of responsibility? Share in the comments below the fear or feeling you identified behind the success you are avoiding. You don't need to share the success itself, just the fear it evokes. By naming these fears, you begin to take away their power and see that, often, they are just thoughts, not concrete realities. Understanding the nature of these fears, their unconscious origin, their link to attachment, and how they act as psychological barriers, is the crucial first step. You are not just feeling fear, you are dealing with deep patterns. But the good news is that, once you understand them, you can start working with them instead of being controlled by them. And that's where the Zen Method comes in, which we will explore next. It gives us a practical way to approach these fears that we have just identified. You already have the key to returning to the present when the fear of success tries to pull you into the uncertain future. This is fundamental. But the journey to success, and life in general, is full of ups and downs. There will be obstacles, setbacks, criticisms, and yes, moments when things won't go as planned. The fear of success often feeds on the idea that we won't be able to handle these difficulties after achieving something great. That's why building resilience, the ability to recover, adapt, and grow in the face of adversity, is so vital. Resilience doesn't mean being invulnerable. It doesn't mean you won't feel pain or frustration. It means that when you fall, you know how to get back up. It means that when you face an obstacle, you see it as a challenge to be overcome, not a sign to give up. How do the wisdoms we are exploring help us build this resilience? Let's return to the Stoics. Their emphasis on focusing on what we can control is the foundation of resilience. When we face a difficulty, the mind tends to fixate on what went wrong, on what we cannot change, on external injustices. This drains us. The Stoic reminds us, you don't control what happened, but you control how you react to it. You control your effort, your attitude, your persistence, your willingness to learn. Resilience, from the Stoic perspective, comes from directing our energy towards our sphere of influence, towards our preparation, and towards the virtue of continuing to act despite the circumstances. It's about focusing on rowing the boat with strength and intelligence rather than despairing over the waves. Buddhism offers us self-compassion. Building resilience is not about being tough on yourself. It's about being kind. When you make a mistake, when something goes wrong, the inner critical voice can be brutal. Buddhist self-compassion teaches us to treat ourselves with the same kindness and understanding that we would treat a dear friend who is suffering. Accepting that making mistakes is part of the process, that impermanence means that difficulties will pass, and that you deserve kindness, even when you're not at your best. This inner kindness is a powerful buffer against the discouragement that can lead to giving up. And positive psychology gives us practical tools to turn setbacks into learning. It teaches us to cultivate a growth mindset, the belief that our abilities can be developed through dedication and hard work. With this mindset, a failure is not proof that you are not good enough, but a valuable opportunity to learn, adjust your approach, and try again. Positive psychology helps us identify our character strengths, courage, perseverance, perspective, and use them actively to overcome challenges, building a virtuous cycle of effort, learning, and strengthening. Think of Henry's story. Henry had a big dream of opening his own business. He worked tirelessly on the plan, secured investors, and launched the company. In the first few months, he faced enormous difficulties he hadn't anticipated. A supplier failed, an important client canceled a contract, the initial team had problems. The fear of having failed, of having exposed himself for nothing, was overwhelming. He could have given up right then, confirming his worst fears about success being unsustainable. But Henry, perhaps without knowing the exact names of the philosophies, applied their principles. He focused on what he could control, Stoicism, renegotiated with other suppliers, adjusted the business plan, had honest conversations with the team. He practiced self-compassion, Buddhism. Instead of blaming himself endlessly, he recognized that entrepreneurship is difficult and that he was doing his best, learning along the way. And he used positive psychology. He saw each problem not as an end, but as a challenge to be solved, a chance to learn and strengthen the company. He didn't focus on the uncertain final outcome, but on the daily effort and learning. He got up, adjusted the sails, and kept rowing. Today, Henry's business is a success, not because he avoided difficulties, but because he built the resilience to overcome them. This is the essence of resilience for success. It's not the absence of falls, but the ability to get back up, learn, and move forward. As the Buddha said, "You don't fail by trying, you fail by giving up." It's a simple but incredibly powerful phrase. The fear of success often leads us to give up before we even really try, or at the first difficulty. Resilience, nourished by these wisdoms, gives us the strength to keep trying, learning, and growing. Now let's put this into practice in your life. You've identified a success that scares you. Probably the idea of achieving it brings with it concerns about the challenges that will come afterward. I invite you to a new exercise. Take your notebook or document again. List 3 successes, big or small, that scare you or that you have been avoiding. For each of these successes, think of a small action you can take today or tomorrow that is within your control, and that moves you one step, however small, in that direction. It doesn't have to be the final action, just the next possible step. It could be researching something, sending an email, having a short conversation, dedicating 15 minutes to a related task. Remember Stoicism. Focus on the action you control, not the final outcome. Remember, positive psychology. What small strength of yours can you use to take this step? Write this small action next to each success. Look at these actions. They are small, concrete, and within your reach. Taking these small steps, focusing on the present effort, is like building a muscle of resilience. Each small action you take, despite fear, strengthens your ability to handle bigger challenges in the future. Which of these actions will you commit to taking today or tomorrow? Share the action. You don't need to share the success if you don't want to, in the comments below. By writing and sharing, you increase your commitment and connect with a community that is also on this journey. And here's the challenge: take that step today. Don't wait for perfect courage. Courage comes after action. Take the small step and feel the resilience begin to grow within you. Building resilience is a continuous process. It's about practicing focus on the controllable, self-compassion, and constant learning. And a powerful tool that helps us be present and aware throughout this process is mindfulness. In our next topic, we will explore how mindfulness helps us not only to seek success with resilience, but to truly embrace and live it fully. Perfect, Anita. After understanding fear and starting to build resilience to face challenges, the next step is learning to be fully present in the journey and, crucially, to truly embrace success when it comes without letting fear or anxiety steal the joy of the moment. This is where mindfulness, the practice of full attention, becomes our great ally. You are building your resilience, learning to focus on what you control and to get up after falls. This is fundamental to the journey. But there is another essential piece in the puzzle of overcoming the fear of success: the ability to be fully present at every step of the way, and especially at the moment of achievement. The fear of success, as we have seen, pulls us out of the now. It drags us into a hypothetical future full of negative what-ifs, or ties us to regrets and insecurities of the past. It prevents us from experiencing the reality of the present moment, where life truly happens, and where success, or the path to it, manifests. This is where the practice of mindfulness, or full attention, fits perfectly. Mindfulness is the practice of paying attention, on purpose, to the present moment, without judgment. It is simply being aware of what is happening, inside and outside of you at this exact instant. At the heart of Zen and Buddhism is this emphasis on presence. Zen meditation, for example, is fundamentally a practice of sitting and simply being present, observing thoughts, feelings, and sensations without clinging to them. This practice trains us to see reality as it is, without the distortions created by our fears and expectations. When you are fully present, the fear of the future loses its power, for the future does not exist in the now. What exists is the task at hand, the current conversation, the sensation in your body. Taoism, with its wisdom about flowing with the natural way, also resonates with mindfulness. Being present allows us to feel and move with the flow of life, rather than resisting it. When success comes or when we face a challenge on the path, mindfulness allows us to be with that experience, rather than fighting against it or running from it. It is embracing the moment, whatever it may be, with acceptance and awareness. And positive psychology scientifically validates the power of mindfulness. Studies show that mindfulness reduces anxiety, which is largely fear of the future, improves focus, increases self-awareness, and allows us to savor positive experiences. When you achieve a success, mindfulness allows you to be fully present to feel the joy, satisfaction, and pride, rather than letting the fear of what comes next or the insecurity about what others think steal that moment. It helps us anchor the positive experience. Think of Sophia's story. Sophia was a talented artist but was very afraid of displaying her work. When she was finally invited to an exhibition, the fear of success and judgment almost made her give up. On the opening day, the anxiety was enormous. People were looking at her works, commenting instead of getting lost in the spiral of thoughts. Will they like it? What if someone criticizes? Is this good enough? Sophia decided to apply mindfulness. She paused for a moment, took a deep breath, using the 3-breath technique we learned. Then, she simply allowed herself to be present. She felt her feet on the ground, heard the soft murmur of conversations, observed the colors and shapes of her own paintings as if seeing them for the first time. She noticed people's facial expressions without immediately interpreting them as judgment. She was just there, present with the experience. By doing this, the fear diminished. She was able to talk to the visitors, feel the energy of the moment, and truly embrace the achievement of having her work exhibited. Mindfulness helped her be present for success, instead of being hijacked by fear. This is the beauty of mindfulness in the context of success. It allows us to live success, not just achieve it. It reminds us that the true reward is in the present experience of the journey and the arrival, not in an uncertain future. As the wise Lao Tzu said, "Success is not in the future, it is in the present." It is a radically different perspective. Success is not a distant destination, but the quality of your presence in each step you take now. Let's experience the power of presence right now. I invite you to a simple mindfulness exercise. Choose an object near you. It could be a pen, a cup, a flower, anything. Now, for 2 minutes, your only task is to observe this object with full presence. Look at it as if you've never seen it before. Observe its color, its shape, its texture. Is there any mark, any detail you've never noticed? Feel its weight, its temperature, if you can touch it. Just observe, without thinking about the past or the future, without judgment about the object. Just be present with it. If your mind wanders, and it will wander, that's its job. Gently bring your attention back to the object. Okay. Slowly bring your attention back to where you are. How was this experience? Even observing something so simple, did you notice how the mind tends to get distracted? And how by bringing it back, you feel more anchored, calmer? I would love to know how it was for you. Comment below about your experience with this small observation exercise. What did you notice? How did you feel? And here's the challenge. Practice mindfulness tomorrow. It could be observing an object, paying full attention while drinking your coffee, or simply focusing on your breath for a minute. See how this practice of presence affects your ability to deal with anxiety or simply appreciate the moment. Cultivating mindfulness is cultivating the ability to be with what is, including success and fear, without being dominated by them. It is a continuous path of learning and practice. And as you integrate presence and detachment into your life, something profound begins to happen, a true transformation and lasting freedom from fear. This is what we will explore in our last topic. You have come a long way. You have understood the deep nature of the fear that often prevents us from reaching our full potential. You have explored how ancient wisdom and modern science come together to offer us a practical path to freedom. We have seen that the fear of success is not a sign of weakness, but a complex manifestation of unconscious fears and attachments. We have learned that the simplicity of the Zen Method, the practice of presence and detachment anchored in the 3 breaths, is a powerful tool to bring us back to the only moment that matters, the now. We have discovered how resilience, built with the Stoic wisdom of focusing on the controllable Buddhist self-compassion, and the growth mindset of positive psychology, empowers us to face the challenges that come with success. And we have seen how mindfulness, influenced by Zen and Taoism, allows us not only to seek success, but to truly embrace and live it fully, without letting anxiety steal the joy. For me personally, this journey has been the most transformative of my life. There were moments when fear seemed insurmountable, when the desire to give up was almost overwhelming. But by applying these principles, by practicing presence even when trembling, by choosing self-compassion over self-criticism, by focusing on the small step I could take today, I realized that fear did not have to have the last word. It still appears, yes. But now I see it differently. It is less a wall and more a mist that I can pass through, or a reminder that I am growing. The freedom I have found is not the total absence of fear, but the freedom to act despite it. The freedom to be myself, with my imperfections and potentials, and to pursue what resonates with my soul. I know that applying these teachings in daily life is not always easy. It requires practice, patience, and above all, kindness to oneself. There will be days when you forget to practice the 3 breaths. There will be moments when fear seems stronger than you. This is perfectly normal. The important thing is to recognize, breathe, and return to the practice. Each small conscious choice to be present, to let go of attachment, to focus on what you control, to be kind to yourself. Each of these choices is a step towards freedom. Remember, you have within you the ability to overcome this fear. You have the wisdom of the ages and the tools of modern science at your disposal. The success you desire is not out of reach because of an inherent flaw in you, but perhaps because of a fear that can be dissolved. The true conquest is not just achieving an external goal. It is the internal transformation that happens along the way. It is the peace you find along the journey. It is the freedom to be who you were born to be, without the invisible chains of fear. Tell me, and share by writing in the comments or reflecting. What is the greatest success you feel you are avoiding or sabotaging at this moment in your life? Share in the comments. Of the wisdoms we mentioned, Zen, Stoicism, Buddhism, Taoism, positive psychology, which one resonates most strongly with you today? Why? After reflecting, what small lesson or new perspective did you gain about your own fear of success? If this video touched you, if any of these ideas resonated, I invite you to continue this journey with me. Subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss our next series, where we will delve even deeper into how to apply these principles in specific areas of your life to achieve the limitless success that comes from inner freedom. And finally, I want to ask you one last question. Of everything we talked about today, what is one thing you will commit to applying in your life from now on? Is it the practice of the 3 breaths? Is it focusing on what you control? Is it being kinder to yourself? Is it practicing mindfulness for a minute? Comment below what your next practical step will be. Your public commitment, even if only to me and the community here, strengthens your intention. Do you want to go deeper and have a practical guide with exercises to apply these wisdoms in your daily life and dissolve fear once and for all? We have prepared an exclusive ebook for you. The link to download yours is in the description below. Click now and get your complimentary material. And to continue your journey of growth and inner freedom, check out the other videos that are appearing on the screen now. They have been specially selected to help you take the next steps. To finish, let's breathe together one more time. Inhale deeply, bringing in fresh air and possibility. And exhale slowly, releasing any remnants of fear or tension that may still be present. Feel the freedom you can achieve. The path is before you. Take the first step. You deserve to live your success free from fear.